Hey everyone, it's Mark Ferguson with Investor and I am standing in my office garage, and the reason for that is I'm showing you that 91 Mustang right up there, which I still have, and that was my daily driver for, I don't know, 6-7 years when I was just starting out in real estate after I graduated college, and while we were all going through the housing crash. So I was a real estate investor, real estate agent during the housing crash. I survived, I didn't go bankrupt. Actually did quite well during that period of time. And a lot of people have been saying we're gonna have another crash, things are horrible, the market's horrible. I don't agree with all of that, but I wanna tell how I survived the last crash, how I made it through it, and just in case there's another crash, what I might do in that situation as well. So this is a 91 Mustang 5.0 convertible. I did put a supercharger on it and some other stuff right after college. It's got a Tremec transmission in it, bigger injectors, bigger fuel pumps, bigger tires, wheels, beefed up suspension and brakes, all that. So it was a really fun car, but obviously not the most amazing car in winter in Colorado. But I didn't have a car payment until I was 28. And that was one thing that really helped me along the way when I was younger, was trying to save money, trying to not to spend all my money I made. I do that now with my cars. No. But love this car, fun car. And let's talk about real estate. What is it, 15 years ago now? All right, so this is a HUD home I was given as an assignment a few years ago to sell, which is kind of interesting because that's how, or a big reason how I survived the housing crash. So I'll give you some backstory while we kind of take a peek at this house. I graduated from college in 2001, moved into an apartment as an on-site manager. My sister managed the apartment, so I was the on-site manager, got a little bit of a break on rent. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with myself. I had a finance degree, but didn't find the perfect job. So I worked for my dad part-time, doing landscaping, manual labor, things like that. I think I made $10 an hour at the time. And eventually I started helping him kind of repair some of the house flips he was doing. And I decided I like real estate. I like my flexibility. It's kind of fun doing different stuff. I saw my friends in the corporate world really miserable. I thought maybe real estate isn't so bad, even though I wanted nothing to do with it when I was in high school. So I became an agent, started selling houses, worked on some flips with my dad, earned a very, very tiny percentage of the profit, and was doing okay. From 2002 to 2005, 6, I did okay. Nothing spectacular. I wasn't raking in tons of money. And I did enjoy real estate, but I also wasn't like thriving. I wasn't making $100,000 a year by any means. One year in 2006, I decided to work on a flip all myself, do all the work myself to try and make things better. That went horribly wrong. Had my worst year ever. It took too long. Was just too much time, too much opportunity lost doing that flip. I have a video that goes over that process too. Around 2006, after I did that flip, that's when I knew, hey, something's got to change. And that's when the real estate market in Colorado was really changing as well. So Colorado kind of started, I won't say they started, but they were ahead of the game as far as the real estate crash went. My county, Weld County in Colorado, led the nation in foreclosures in 2006. So even though you hear the crash was in 2007, 2008, 2009, in Colorado, we had tons of foreclosures before that. We had massive building going on, tons of properties, and things just kind of fell apart around 2006. And I was an agent, like I said, we were still flipping houses once in a while. And what really got me thriving and into a really good spot in my business was I started doing BPOs and I became an REO broker, REO agent. And what that means is I sold foreclosures. This is a HUD home we're looking at right here. HUD home is a government-owned property, housing, or Department of Housing and Urban Development is what HUD stands for. And they take over FHA mortgages that go into foreclosure, then they sell them back to the public. I worked for HUD. I worked for about 30 other banks, asset management companies, and I worked really, really hard to get those relationships, to build that business. I went to conferences. I traveled all over the country. I cold called banks. I went to tons of training and slowly built up my business over many, many years to do that. And I loved it. It was tons of fun, and it was pretty lucrative as well. I think in 2009, 2010, I was selling close to 200 houses a year, most of those HUD homes, and HUD was a great business to be in. A lot of us complain about the government. There's pros, there's cons. HUD was actually pretty easy to work with. I like dealing with them. Other parts of the government, maybe not so much, but it was fun for me. Ironically, this listing was given to me by accident. I kind of knew that was happening because I hadn't done one in like 6 years, and all of a sudden they assigned it to me. Went through a process, tried to sell it, ended up not working. But anyway, it was kind of interesting how they gave me this listing after so many years. And another thing I did, as I mentioned, was BPOs, broker price opinions. And so broker price opinions are something real estate agents can do as well that are sort of like an appraisal, but not the same. We come up with a value. It's kind of like a comparative market analysis where we find comps, we adjust for different bedrooms, square footage, things like that, and we come up with this report that gives a value to banks, usually asset management companies, on what a property is worth. And so I started out doing BPOs, doing hundreds of them a month, and I might get paid anywhere from $40 to $100 per BPO, and I was just sitting at my computer doing BPOs all day long, driving by properties, taking pictures, just going all over the place with this new venture. And it was a lot of fun. It was neat, paid some bills. And that's one reason why I hired Nikki, was because as I was doing all these BPOs, then I started to have a few REO assignments trickle in where I was assigned a property. I'd have to get it rekeyed, put utilities in my name, go take pictures of it, do a BPO for that property. Eventually we'd list it and sell it. Well, I was doing all these BPOs, I was getting new assignments for properties, I was driving all over the place, and I was working 10, 12 hours a day sometimes, loving it, but I knew I couldn't do that forever, and that's when I hired Nikki to really help out on that side of it, and she started out doing BPOs. Kind of called her the BPO queen for a while because she could fly through those, was really good at them, and I think we'd done over 1,000 BPOs a few months, which was pretty crazy. Like, that's a ton of BPOs. 1,000. I wonder if I might be lying. Did we do that many BPOs? 1,000 divided by 30. That's we didn't do that many. That's 30 a day. We could do 10 a day. I'm pretty sure we averaged 10 a day, but 300, probably 300 BPOs. Sorry. I think we averaged 10 a day in that range for a while. So forget that part about the 1,000. That's exaggerating. But that got me into the REO business where I was selling houses and for banks. Now, it wasn't all easy. A lot of times we were paying for repairs up front on some of these foreclosures. We were paying for rekeys. We were paying utilities. We'd have to get reimbursed. Sometimes the banks didn't always reimburse us right away. Sometimes they threw a fit and didn't want to reimburse us at all. And they didn't pay, 3% commissions. A lot of times they were paying 2%, 2.5%. Some paid less than 2% for our side. So we weren't making a whole ton of money doing this, especially since these houses were, a lot of times under $100,000 that we were selling. But we were doing a lot of volume, selling quite a few, and making good money. Now I was still working with my dad on his team. He worked at a brokerage, so I had to split, those commissions with him, with the office. So again, it wasn't like we're just making tons of money hand over foot, but definitely was doing well, having fun. And along the way, yes, we were still flipping properties as well. So a lot of people think that flipping completely stops when the market crashed in 2006, 7, 8. That's not true. We were still flipping. I don't know, we did maybe 3 to 5 flips a year. And while prices were going down, yes, and it was more difficult to sell properties, yes, but we also were getting better deals because prices were going down. There were more foreclosures that allowed us more opportunities. Whereas before the crash, we kind of bought almost everything from the public trustee foreclosure sale. After the crash, during the crash, we were buying more from the MLS where you could buy short sales. There are different ways. Auctions we bought properties from. There was more inventory to buy. We could get good deals, still make money flipping. So flipping did not just disappear because the market went down. Now, some flippers didn't do well. There are some investors who were speculating, simply buying properties before the crash that didn't need work, weren't good deals, just hoping they'd go up in value. They did really bad. A lot of them went bankrupt because you just can't make money that way. That's what Zillow and some of these other companies were trying to do here recently with buying properties and just hoping they'd magically go up in value all the time without doing much work or without getting those really good deals. They went out of business, or at least that department went out of business. They realized that's not a good business model. You can't keep doing it. So you can keep flipping during a crash and make money. It's all relative, right? Maybe prices come down. Well, you pay less for the properties you're buying, and there might be less competition. Now there's still buyers. People are still going to buy homes. Just have to be more aggressive with how you price them, how you sell them in that type of market. I also bought my first rental property in 2010 after making money from the REO business, flipping houses, and refinancing my personal house, which my second personal house was also a foreclosure that I got a good deal on. And what happened with rentals was prices got real low. Rents didn't decrease as much. I was able to buy quite a few really good deals on rental properties that cash flowed. Those tripled in value over the last 10 years or so and did really well on that front as well. So if a crash does occur, could it be rough? Could it be tough for a lot of people? Yes. Honestly, I think it will hurt the regular American person who owns a house more than anybody else, because 90% of wealth for those who have less than $100,000 net worth is from their home. And they get that from equity buildup, appreciation. And investors, if you're overextended, if you're just betting on speculation, yes, you can be in huge trouble. But if prices decrease, if the market goes down, that means we can get better deals. That means maybe we can get better cash flow. It might be tougher to sell some of our houses, but we always build in lots of room for our properties that we flip. And we've been getting properties under contract still that we were flipping. So it's not like the market completely stopped and everything's dead. Houses are still selling. Properties are still selling. So to survive a crash, again, I don't think there will be a crash. I have other videos that go over that, and I'll link to those. There could be a slowdown. We could definitely have a more normal market, which we have now. But to get through a real crash, you've got to make sure you get good deals, as always. And it helps to have backup plans, right? And not just have one source of income, one thing you're completely dependent on. Just like when I was doing my REO agent business and selling foreclosures and doing BPOs, right? That didn't last forever. The market got better. Foreclosures slowed down or almost completely disappeared in some cases. And a lot of people were asking REO agents, hey, what are you going to do when the market slows down? And a lot of them said, well, it's never going to slow down. There's always going to be foreclosures. Well, you don't know that for sure. And luckily, when that slowed down and the foreclosures decreased, well, I went back to focusing more on flipping and investing in rentals in that side of it. And that helped me keep making money, keep surviving real estate. So the fact is, no matter what the real estate market is doing, there are ways to make money. There are ways to survive. There are ways to get by. Whether it's as an agent doing BPOs like I was, or learning foreclosures and getting into HUD. It's not easy, by the way. That took a lot of work, a lot of hours, and not everybody makes it in that business. Or continuing to flip, but just making sure you're getting better deals. Buying rental properties at cash flow. There's so many different ways to survive. Many real estate agents I know who are really, really good survived as well. They kept selling houses. People kept buying. They kept selling. Yes, the market changed. Yes, maybe they didn't make as much money as they were before, but they did okay. They kept going and made it through that crazy period of time. And that was pretty much the worst real estate crash in history. And a lot of people made it through okay. It wasn't like every single investor, every single agent went bankrupt. Quite a few made it through it doing decent. Now, what's really funny is right before I made this video, right, people might say, well, you can't do BPOs, you can't do that now, there's no foreclosures. I still get emails to do foreclosure work and BPO work. And this is one here, an email to do what they call a PCR, property condition report. You literally drive by the house, take pictures, send them pictures, and they'll pay you $15. Is that a lot of money? No. Would I do it for that? No. But you can still do BPOs, 40, 50, 60 bucks. Companies still send me requests to do those, even though I haven't done a BPO in like 6-7 years now. There is business out there to do that. And yeah, if you're still in the REO foreclosure game, there are very few of those right now. Very, very few. But there will be more. Every normal market has foreclosures, has HUD homes, has REOs. It's just we've been in a not normal market the last few years. So foreclosures will come back. HUD homes will come back. There may not be as many as there were during the last crash. I doubt we'll ever see that many again, personally. But there will be some. You can make money doing that as well. You can make money doing all kinds of different things in real estate. And I'm just going to leave you as I go. This is on investformore.com, my website, /flips. Shows all the flips we've done like the last 7-8 years. So if you're ever interested in peeking at some of our before videos and after videos, we have them. I need to update this. It's been a couple months since I updated all of these. But if the market's doing great, flips can go well. If the market's doing bad, you can still make money with flips. We still flipped during the last market. If the market's indifferent, we can still make money too. And one thing I always tell people, they ask me, well, how do you survive a crash? What do you do differently? What do you change in your business? I don't change anything. I invest the same way no matter what I think the market's going to do. One, because I don't know what the market's going to do. It's almost impossible to predict it. I can make guesses. I can tell you what I think is going to happen. I do that all the time. But I always preface that with no one knows for sure. So I always invest, if I'm buying a rental for cash flow, I make sure I get a really awesome deal. Flips the same way. Make sure I get a really good deal. Make sure I have room if there are more repairs we find or the market changes. Make sure I try and get them sold quickly, although that doesn't always happen. That's our goal. And I invest the same way no matter what the market is. If you're investing differently, that can get you in trouble because you're guessing, you're trying to time the market, figure out what it's going to do. And a lot of people have lost a lot of money that way or missed out on a lot of deals that way just because we don't know what's going to happen. A lot of people thought COVID would absolutely destroy the real estate market. The opposite happened. Some people have been calling for crashes the last 10 years. Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, has literally been saying there's going to be a crash every single year since 2014. Some people say eventually he'll be right. Maybe, but he's also getting up there in age, so maybe not. But we'll see what happens. So I don't see a crash coming. Yes, we're returning to a normal market. A crash takes a lot of different things. High interest rates have never caused a crash before. We're starting to see inflation calm down right now. And interest rates have been going down for mortgages too. They were up in the 7s. Now they're in the low 6s. They're getting close to 5 again. So that might help the real estate market here too. All right, so kind of a long rambling video. Sorry about that. But that is how I survived the last real estate crash. My sister had rental properties. My parents had some rental properties. I know many people in the business who had rental properties. And there's only a couple people I know who really went bankrupt and lost everything. And then almost all of them were buying for speculation, meaning they weren't trying to get good deals. They weren't buying for cash flow. They were just buying properties and hoping they'd all go up in value and they could sell them eventually. And the opposite happened. So if you buy for cash flow, get a great deal, that does amazing things to help protect you no matter what market you're in. All right, thanks for watching. Love the comments, love the likes, love seeing new subscribers, and we'll be back with more videos.